everyone, this is Shankar sir. Welcome to my channel Natural Biology. In my previous class, I have explained about how the exchange of gases takes place between alveoli and blood capillary. Now let us discuss the next step of the respiration, that is transport of gases. Okay, so this is the third step in respiration, transport of gases. How gases transport takes place? We have learned that because of the simple diffusion, the oxygen from alveoli is get diffused into the blood. So once it is mixed with the blood, how it is transported, let us learn. Okay, first we discuss about transportation of oxygen. How oxygen reach from lungs to tissues. From where to where? From lungs to tissues. Okay. So similarly, how carbon dioxide returns from tissues to lungs. Okay, the carbon dioxide returns from tissues to lungs. Okay, so let us see first how transportation of oxygen takes place. Okay, from where to where? From lungs to tissue. Then who is carrying this oxygen? We know that here two things we have to remember, that our blood plasma transport and as well as red blood cells also carry this oxygen. Okay, very little amount of oxygen is get dissolved in the plasma and it is transporting to all the tissues. Okay, so the percentage is very less, 3%. Okay, yeah, through RBC huge amount of oxygen is transported. Okay, especially a pigment. We know that hemoglobin is a pigment, iron containing pigment, which is present in the RBC. Okay, nearly 97% of oxygen is transported through this RBC. Okay, through hemoglobin. Okay, iron containing hemoglobin. In hemoglobin structure, a special atom is present, that is called iron atom. What it is present? Iron is present in the structure of the hemoglobin. And we have to remember that in chlorophyll, magnesium is present as a central atom, whereas in hemoglobin, iron is present. So this is very important for MCQs. Okay, which among the following atom present in the structure of the hemoglobin? What it is present? Iron. One iron carries one oxygen molecules. So this hemoglobin, if you see, it is a protein. What it is? It is a protein. Okay, protein which contain this iron as a central atom. Okay, so this is the hemoglobin structure. Let's see. So this is made up of two alpha chains and two beta chains. Here one iron, here one iron. These are the iron particles. So it is made up of two alpha chains and two beta chains. So here this is the iron molecule. Okay, so these iron carry one oxygen molecule. So every iron atom carries one oxygen molecule. So hence total hemoglobin carries 4 oxygen molecules. How many? 4 oxygen molecules. Okay, so likewise it is present Fe+2, and this hemoglobin is made up of nitrogen rings. There are 4 nitrogen rings are present. I am drawing this one portion. Okay, one chain of the hemoglobin. Nitrogen ring, 5 carbon compound nitrogen ring. This is called pyrrole ring. What it is? Pyrrole ring. It is the basic structure of hemoglobin. In centrally iron is located. So these iron carry one oxygen molecule. Okay, so likewise this iron carry one oxygen molecule. So how many iron particles are present here? 4 iron atoms are present. So these 4 iron atoms carry 4 hemoglobin molecules. Okay, right. I will write that one hemoglobin is bound with 4 oxygen molecules, and it is a reversible reaction. Then it will become oxyhemoglobin forms in the capillaries of the lungs, pulmonary capillaries. So these blood which contain oxyhemoglobin goes to hearts. From hearts it is going to distribute to all the body parts. So likewise, oxyhemoglobin means hemoglobin is carrying oxygen to all the tissues of the body. Once it is reached to the tissues, what happens? So this is takes place in lungs. It occurs in lungs. Formation of oxyhemoglobin takes place in lungs. When it reaches to tissues, what happens? These oxyhemoglobin, again it is going to dissociate. It is going to dissociate, separate. Hemoglobin is separated and it releases 4 oxygen molecules in tissues. Okay, from capillaries, oxygen is going to separate and hemoglobin remain in the blood capillary only. So these oxygen is going to diffuse into the cell. So likewise, these hemoglobin carrying the oxygen in the form of oxyhemoglobin. And one point we have to remember that each 100 ml of blood, each 100 ml of oxygenated blood carries nearly 5 milliliters of oxygen. We understand what it is? Every 100 milliliters of oxygenated blood carries nearly 5 milliliters of oxygen to tissues. And here one more important point we have to remember. It is helpful for all the competitive exams, that is Bohr effect. Okay, what it is? Bohr effect. The effect of partial pressure of carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration on affinity of the hemoglobin. Okay, remember that if partial pressure of carbon dioxide is more, okay, it is high, and hydrogen concentration is very less, decreasing. So that will affect on the hemoglobin, oxyhemoglobin means which will not allow the oxygen with hemoglobin. It is the binding ability of oxygen with hemoglobin will decreases. Okay, so that is called Bohr effect. Okay, so in this way, oxygen is going to reach to each and every tissues. Once we encapsulate how oxygen is transported to tissues. Oxygen is moved from lungs to tissues. Okay, from lungs through pulmonary vein it reaches to heart. From heart through aorta it reaches to each and every part. Okay, right. So who is carrying this oxygen? Plasma and red blood cells. Plasma just about 3% only. Most of the oxygen, 97% oxygen is transported through the RBC. In RBC, a special pigment, iron containing pigment present, that is called hemoglobin. If you see the structure of hemoglobin, this is made up of 2 proteins. One is the heme and one more is the globin. So one hemoglobin structure contains this like structure. It is made up of 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. Every chain is look like. It is made up of 4 nitrogen rings and central atom is present, that is iron. One iron carry 1 oxygen molecule, like 4 iron molecules carry 4 oxygen molecules. In tissues, hemoglobin bind with 4 oxygen molecules form oxyhemoglobin. Okay. Now, when the oxyhemoglobin reach to the tissues, it is going to again break down as hemoglobin plus oxygen. These oxygen diffuse into the tissues. Okay. One more point, Bohr effect. The effect of partial pressure of carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration on the affinity of hemoglobin is called Bohr effect. If partial pressure of carbon dioxide is more, hydrogen ion concentration is less, very less amount of hemoglobin bind with oxygen. Okay, and also opposite takes place. If partial pressure of carbon dioxide is very less and hydrogen ion concentration is more, also will not support the affinity, will not support the binding of this oxygen with hemoglobin. So that effect is called Bohr effect. Let us discuss about how transport of carbon dioxide takes place. This carbon dioxide return to the lungs in 3 ways. How many ways? 3 ways. One is dissolved form or dissolved dissolved state. Okay, only about 7% of carbon dioxide return to the lungs in dissolved state. Means this carbon dioxide is going to react with water which is present in the plasma, form carbonic acid. What it is? Carbonic acid. So in this way carbon dioxide returns, but that percentage is very less. And one more form, carbamino compound. Carbamino compound nothing but carbaminohemoglobin. Okay, right. So this carbon dioxide react with amine group of hemoglobin. It is react with amine group of hemoglobin and form carbaminohemoglobin. It forms carbaminohemoglobin plus H plus protons. Okay. So when carbon dioxide is react with amine group of hemoglobin, it is going to become carbaminohemoglobin. Okay. So in this way carbon dioxide return to the lungs. Okay. So its percentage 20 to 25. So nearly 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide return to the lungs in the form of carbaminohemoglobin. One more form is bicarbonate form. Okay, bicarbonate form it is important because it nearly accounts for 70%. How much percent? 70% of carbon dioxide return to the lungs in the form of bicarbonate form. What it is? CO2 is react with water first in the presence of an enzyme. That enzyme name we have to remember that carbonic anhydrase. Carbonic anhydrase. So in the presence of this carbonic anhydrase, first it is become carbonic acid and also it is going to become bicarbonate plus hydrogen ions. So this is the bicarbonate form. HCO3 minus is the bicarbonate form. So in this way carbon dioxide return to the lungs. Okay. Here also there is one important point word, that is chloride shift. Chloride shift. Okay. What is mean by chloride shift? Okay. When this bicarbonate reach to the lungs, in lungs what happened? For example, this is a RBC. Okay. Here it is contained bicarbonate HCO3 minus H plus. Okay. So it is a structure. Where it is present bicarbonate? It is present in the RBC. When it is reached to the lungs, this bicarbonate come out from the RBC, HCO3 minus. So thereby this hydrogen concentration increases. Blood contain chloride ions. That chloride ions enter into the RBC. Okay. Chloride ions get enter into the RBC to maintain that balance. So such type of shifting of this chloride ions into the RBC is known as chloride shift. It is also known as Hamburger's phenomenon. Hamburger shift or Hamburger's phenomenon. So this word point is important. Okay. So when the bicarbonate ions leave the RBC, so there is increasing the hydrogen ions. So to make balance, chloride shift into the RBC. So this shifting of chlorides into the RBC is called chloride shift. So in this way, carbon dioxide return to the lungs in dissolved state, carbamino compound and bicarbonate form. So huge amount of carbon dioxide return to the lungs in the form of bicarbonate form. So this point we have to remember that. So it is important. Okay. In textbook, a small do you know is given. That also we have to remember about this oxygen. At normal conditions, okay, above the sea level, okay, atmospheric temperature is 760 mm of Hg. So at that temperature only we breathe properly. 21% of oxygen we can breathe. How much percentage? 21% at sea level. So when we go to high altitude above the sea level, okay, above the sea level, 13 kilometers above the sea level. Okay, for every 13 kilometers, okay, 1/5 of oxygen is present at sea level. Okay, so every 13 kilometers above the sea level, how much oxygen is available? Only 1/5 of oxygen available at the sea level. Okay, so right, so that is why we cannot get proper breathing, we suffocate. Okay, when we go to high altitude, we cannot breathe, we may get breathing problem, suffocation, headache, dizziness, nausea, vomiting like feeling because of insufficient oxygen. Okay, at that area, at that level, we take only half of the oxygen only. How much? Half amount of oxygen. Okay, so above the sea level, nearly about 13 kilometers, we receive only half of the oxygen. But what about these aircrafts or aeroplanes? They maintain high pressurized cabins and very rich supply of oxygen. Okay, so in aircraft there will be high pressurized cabin with rich supply of oxygen is available, so they can survive. Okay, so that type of above the sea level, what we get, that breathing problem, that is called high altitude sickness. What it is? High altitude sickness. And also, if we go to the deep into the sea, their conditions are very different because we cannot breathe water, oxygen from the water, isn't it not? We are not aquatic, so that is why, so sea divers carry their oxygen cylinders. Okay, this is about the transportation of gases, transportation of oxygen and transportation of carbon dioxide. Let us discuss about one more step of respiration, that is exchange of gases from capillaries to cells and back. So how exchange of gases takes place between the capillaries and tissues? So that is by simple process, it is called diffusion. Okay, so this diffusion work on the same principle and based on the partial pressure of gases. It is works on the partial pressure of gases. Already we know that what is meant by partial pressure. So this already we have learned that how exchange of gases takes place between the capillaries, alveoli and capillaries. In alveoli, partial pressure of oxygen is more, in capillary, partial pressure of oxygen is very less. So thereby oxygen get diffused into the blood. When it is mixed with the blood, it is going to become oxygenated blood. Hemoglobin bind with oxygen. So far we have learned how oxyhemoglobin is formed. Now that oxyhemoglobin goes to the heart through pulmonary vein, from heart it goes to body parts through systemic artery. When systemic artery reach to the tissues, what happens? Let's see what is the partial pressure of this oxygen. In the blood which is present in the systemic capillary having high partial pressure, nearly about 95, and the blood which is present in the tissues, okay, it is having very less amount of partial pressure of oxygen. Here the partial pressure of oxygen is only 40. So thereby here oxygen is going to diffuse into the cell. Okay, oxygen is going to diffuse into the cell. Okay, now the cell carry out cellular respiration, it produces carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide which is produced by cell during cellular respiration is going to enter into the blood. Because partial pressure of carbon dioxide is very less here, partial pressure of carbon dioxide is more, so hence it is diffused back into the blood. So in this way, exchange of gases, okay, especially oxygen and carbon dioxide, works on the principle that is called simple diffusion and their partial pressure. Okay, right. So oxygen diffused from blood capillaries into the cells, capillaries to cells, and the carbon dioxide from cells it diffuses into the capillaries. Okay, it is works on the principle called diffusion. So then this blood become deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood. Okay. So through post caval means it reach to the heart. From thereby through pulmonary artery it reach to the lungs again. So this type of exchange and tissues is known as systemic gases exchange. Okay, so here it is called pulmonary gases exchange, and here it is called systemic gases exchange. Okay. And one more term also given. So the exchange of gases between the alveoli and blood capillary is also known as external respiration. Pulmonary gases exchange or external respiration. And the exchange between these capillaries and tissues is also known as systemic gases exchange. It is also known as internal respiration. Okay. So thank you. So this is about the fourth event of the respiration exchange of gases. Okay, between the capillaries and tissues. So thank you for watching this video. So if you like this class, like, share, comment, subscribe, tap on bell icon, support my channel. Thank you once again. In the next class, we will discuss about the cellular respiration.